Good afternoon. Welcome back. Happy Halloween. It is Tuesday, October 31st, 2022. We have a couple of events and a bunch of birthdays to rattle through, so let's dive in and get started. On this day in 1965, yeah, we're in the way back machine here. Curtis Turner wins his final career NASCAR Cup Series race at The Rock. This would also be the same weekend that Ned Jarrett would win the championship and announce his retirement and basically just run part-time the following season. On this day in 1999, in Fontana, California, at the kart race, Adrian Fernandez won, but sadly this race, of course, is the race that the Greg Moore was involved in the crash that took his life. Very, very violent wreck. If you remember the book that I had showed you, matter of fact, I got it sitting right here. This book, Rapid Response, a Dr. Steve Olvey book. Just finished reading it the other day. What I appreciate about the book is it goes into detail, but not gory detail. So it talks about Greg's crash a little bit and how much that really impacted the kart series, the garage area, etc. Around that time. So very, very. I remember waking up to that race. I was working thirds shift on the weekends at a part-time job, and I remember waking up and watching part of that race, and Dr. Olvey's interview was not a good one. So very, very, very rough day for the IndyCar community that day. Then on this day in 2021, a little bit more lighter incident. Alex Bowman wins at Martinsville, but this was the famous post-race interview with Denny Hamlin where he called Alex Bowman a hack. So anyway, birthdays. We're going to rattle off a few here rapid fire, and we only have a couple with cards. So let's start back in 1941. Former IMSA GTP and World Sports Car driver Derek Bell. Many of you may not have heard of Derek Bell, but when I grew up watching IMSA in the mid-'80s, he was teamed with Al Holbert in those really sharp blue and white Lowenbrow Porsche 962s. Always dominant no matter where he went. I had a card of this guy, but I got it autographed, and it's not in my loose stock right now. Born on this day in 1939, sprint car ace and IndyCar journeyman driver Tom Bigelow. Born on this day in 1902, sadly passed away in 1954, Mr. Wilbur Shaw. Of course, he was a Indianapolis 500. I want to say he may have been the first three-time winner. I'm just rattling that off the top of my head. I'm probably wrong, but I do know Wilbur played roles in the track in various stages, and very, very talented driver. Born on this day in 1943, this man has pretty much raced everything all over the world. Had most of his success in like the IMSA series and the other road racing series. Did a little bit of NASCAR racing in the early 80s. EFR, Elliott Forbes Robinson. Many of you have probably never heard that name as well, but Elliott did run some NASCAR races up to about the mid-'80s, but his success came in the sports car and in the endurance series racing. Born on this day in 1983, another road racer that you probably have a little bit more familiarity with, Mike Rockenfeller. Of course, he was part of that Garage, what was it called, Garage 51 or whatever, that the Hendrick cars were running over at the 24. And he's run 24 Hours of Le Mans, and he's also run a couple cup races this year. And our final cardless birthday, born on this day in 1998, younger brother of a current NASCAR Cup Series driver, Chad Chastain. So our two birthdays we have cards for, born on this day in 1952, he's raced in the IHRA, AHRA, NHRA straight liners for many, many, many years, Mr. Mark Oswald. There you see the In-N-Out burger on his car. I've never had a chance to eat at an In-N-Out burger. I've heard those are pretty tasty burgers. But when I started watching drag racing in the early, mid-'80s, he was sponsored, or I don't know if it was a sponsor, but on the side of his car it always said Candies and Hughes. So I think that was the car owners of it. But on our final birthday, born on this day in 1967, he's a former Indy 500 winner. And he's been, again, a journeyman driver. We use that a lot here. I think a journeyman is somebody that's a serviceable driver, gets moved around a lot, but doesn't quite have the star power or the sponsorship to stay put for a while. But very serviceable was this guy, and I think he's also been worked a little bit with the TV networks here and there. Mr. Buddy Lazier. So again, we always start off with these French and English cards, just because we have a version of each. There's the French, there's the English. I can read that one somewhat. Then again, we have second generation driver, Bob Lazier being his dad. And there you see the French version. We also have, let's go with this one first. The IndyCar Legends of Indy. I believe that's a Himmelgarn Racing. Yeah, you can see the Himmelgarn logo. Ron Himmelgarn. And then a very, very early 90s, because it's got that hot pink, that very flashy, you know, kind of that Miami Vice colors, that pink and just those neon-like colors was very, very vibrant, very popular in the early 90s. But anyway, like I say, tons of birthdays today. Not too many events, but a couple pretty significant ones in that respect. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Really, really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Make sure you come back tomorrow. Not sure what we're going to rip tomorrow, but it probably won't be as cool as this morning's with that super cool wrestling mystery box. But anyway, thanks again for watching. We will see you tomorrow.